Wanderer's Way podcast is a podcast sharing everything of a hobbyist and a collector's dream while creating a fun atmosphere with valuable information and personal views. If you support this podcast, please go to buymeacoffee.com and show your support. The link will be in the episode's description. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of A Wanderer's Way podcast. I'm your host, Dustin. Thank you for joining me. I know I wasn't here last week. I apologize for that. I just needed a mental break from everything, especially since I've been up on my Japanese lessons again, and it was killing me because I was working hard, plus doing overnight shifts, and then on top of that, trying to prepare everything for my podcast and doing the podcasts, and, so many other things I'm doing all at once. So I just needed kind of a mental break, so I took my 3 days off and just relaxed. But with that being said, though, speaking about an update here for my lessons for the Japanese language. So yes, my plan is to take the N2 exam on December 4th of this year. It would be on a Sunday. And it's $100. I'm just not sure exactly where I'm going to go yet. I got to wait until June or July, I think it is, for all the information to come out and to start adding myself to it and pay that fee. But my plan is, I have a couple different ways that I can go about this. Passing the N2 exam, opens up many opportunities. And it's not just in Japan, which is my goal, by the way, but also here in America if I wanted to stay, or say there's a reason why I can't leave yet, so there I have many opportunities, or say that I can't find an opportunity in Japan because I don't have enough experience, or they don't think I have a good work record, or whatever. I can do it here first, transfer over there, find a company here that also works, that has a company over there. There's so many opportunities that I can do with having the N2 exam completed. So this is hard. So it is really hard. You got to memorize all of the hiragana, the katakana, and kanji. I have to memorize 1,000 kanji. And then you look at the hiragana and the katakana, both are 46 each. So I gotta remember all those characters. And surprisingly, I'm actually memorizing a lot. Like, my brain is not good usually, and I suck at studying usually. But I've been praying to God. I've been, working really hard. I'd go to work at nights. I'd sit there about 10 minutes getting myself prepared, get all the coffee in me and everything else to wake myself up, go down, do all my cleaning, take care of my clients, so on and so forth. After everything's kind of done, everyone's in bed, I'd sit there for the next few hours and do my studies while I'm also doing more things that I have to do during the night at my job. And it's been helping. And I've been doing a lot of different techniques for memorization too. So when I do the hiragana and the katakana, I have a workbook that I bought off Amazon. So I go through there and I write and write and write over and over and over and learn new vocabulary, write the vocabulary down. And then I go on Japanese Pod 101, which I did spend money on too. So I have all the lessons that I needed for it. And I go through the videos on there, and they explain exactly how the strokes are perfected outside of the workbook. And then, I write down them again, and then write down new vocabulary words that I might learn in that video. And then I go to another video by someone else on the same exact thing and do it again. And then on top of that, the next day, I will actually come into work and I will sit there first before I start doing anything and be like, okay, let's see what I remember. I write down every single letter or the alphabet, and then I write down the characters. Can I remember it? Did I do it right? And practice on that. And then the ones that I forget, I jump in and start doing the brute force memorization skill. At least that's what I was told it was called. So pretty much you write it down on the side, and then you just write it and write it and write it on the entire page of the notebook until your brain memorizes it. And it's worked. So, and because I have to work twice as hard and I'm easily distracted, I get constant migraines, which also affects me too. So all this kind of stuff, it's a big struggle to get myself prepared for the N2 by December. But the fact that I've memorized and everything's been working so far, I should easily be prepared by the middle of summertime. And that doesn't count the full comprehension reading. That is my biggest issue that I have to make sure that I have. Other than the kanji, which is probably the hardest thing of them all, which is the kanji. But reading comprehension, everything's going to be in Japanese, so I'm going to have to literally read everything. Because it's not going to be just hiragana, it's not going to be just katakana. It's going to also be a mix of hiragana and kanji together. And then it's just some straight kanji. So I got to make sure I am fully prepared. But, you guys might be asking, why do you want to go to Japan? Why do you want to leave America? What is so special about Japan? Is it just because you like anime? No. So yes, I do love anime. I am a huge anime fan, but anime did not actually introduce me to the culture of Japan. It actually did not introduce me to Japan itself. But it did provide the push to discover more, to understand more, to want to know more. And it's the culture of Japan that makes me so enthusiastic about the Japanese and the lifestyle and the entire country. I think everything about the country is just absolutely perfect. Now, I know, in reality, nothing is perfect. But when I look at my own country and I look at Japan, I'm just like, dude, I would literally go somewhere that I can literally die within the first 5 days going there because of an earthquake and a tsunami or something. I would rather have that. I would rather worry about a potential death over the potential bullshit from my own government. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater of America, but I do hate my government. But with all that aside though, I love everything that has to do with Japan. And, you look at Tokyo, for example. So many people live there. Millions live in just a small city. It's not even the biggest city of Japan. It's actually one of the smallest ones. The irony of that, and the fact that it's the most populated of Japan. But look you got the Pokemon Company, you got Sega, you got Sony, all stationed right in the heart of Tokyo. Some of the biggest names. Then you got some big places around of Tokyo itself. And this is just Tokyo itself. It's not about Osaka, Kyoto, or Hokkaido, Sendai. There's so many places, and every single one is so unique. So, for example, the difference of the uniqueness, okay? So, I don't have to explain what Tokyo is like. So you guys know what Tokyo is like. So what about Osaka? What's the difference between Tokyo and Osaka? Well, Osaka is it's a very big nightlife city. You say, well, Tokyo is nightlife. Well, yeah, it is. But Osaka is made for the nightlife. And the best part about it is that the Japanese are actually very well known as the friendliest and the most outgoing. And the reason why I really make this stand out about being friendly and outgoing is that most Japanese are not outgoing. So a lot of people think that they're unfriendly when they actually are friendly. Normally the Japanese are very shy. So Osaka, people have this reputation of being more outgoing than the normal Japanese people really are. So that's why Osaka is so vastly different from Tokyo. And every single place in Japan, except Okinawa. I think Okinawa is probably the worst place, and I will never go there. And, well, that's because it's too Americanized. I'm not going to Japan to still be in America. I'm going to Japan to be in Japan, to be surrounded by the Japanese, to not be surrounded by my own people, you know? Yeah, that's the whole point of going somewhere new, right? It's going somewhere where it's different, unique, new, way different from the rest of the world. And that's the whole point of why I'm going. I don't want to be in the same place that I'm already at. Like, what's the sense? So, as you guys know, Japan is mostly mountainous. That's a big-ass island in the middle of the ocean. So, and they do have earthquakes. They just actually had one recently. But they didn't get a tsunami this time, so that's really good. But it was a big one. But luckily, it was more out in the ocean and down really deep, so it really helped them. But they did cause some damage. But, really, you gotta look at the Japanese engineering, though. They have really made a difference for the buildings of Japan and how they are and how they survive these earthquakes all the time. So their engineering is just spot on. Like no man in this world can create something that will stand the test of time. But the fact that they've made things that Americans cannot ever build, at least not now, is very, very intriguing. Because right now, they could use that kind of engineering in California. Because when the big one hits, they're going to need it. Because when the big one actually hits, there's not going to be anything left. So I think we really need it. But yeah, Japan is mostly mountainous. But did you guys know the oldest company in the world, yes, the oldest company in the entire world, in the year of 578 was established as Kongo Gumi, and it specializes in construction of temples and shrines, and it's in Japan. That is awesome, actually. When you think about companies that have survived the test of time and through all these wars and all the crippling economies and everything throughout history, that is amazing. That is phenomenal. Being established in 578, specializing in just building temples and shrines, which isn't everywhere around the entire world. But the fact that they're still here, that is awesome. That is really awesome. And it's the world's oldest company. Did you also know that in Japan, second to Hong Kong though, life expectancy in Japan is 84 years, some of the longest expectancy in the world. It's actually pretty cool. And there's everything that they do in their life that actually helps. Now, a lot of you might criticize this a lot too because of the suicide rate. And I don't know, maybe suicide rate plays a role in the age here, and that might be why Japan is only 84, not in the 90s, because I think before their life expectancy was in the 90s a couple of years ago or several years ago. I can't remember. I believe so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I looked at something else, but I thought so. It was in the 90s before. So maybe the suicide rate actually played a role, but I really wish that that suicide rate would dwindle down to zero. I wish it would be like that everywhere in the world, like zero suicide. Man, it's so hard. I can't imagine, like I understand it. I'm suicidal myself, but it's just like, losing a precious, beautiful, wonderful life. It's so heartbreaking. So let's move on into more of happiness. Did you guys know that one vending machine to every 24 people is available in Japan? And literally, this is straightforward honesty. Seriously, anything can be bought from a vending machine. Talk about convenience. Yes. And, a lot of you guys know already that in Japan, you have a short, small area, and then you got a raised spot when you come into an entranceway of a Japanese home. Well, it's called a genkan, and it's to show respect, and it is very expected for you to remove your shoes. You are not even in your own home, you are not to walk in your shoes. Yeah. Did you guys also know the bidet? Well, it literally takes you away from peasantry toiletry. Yes. Getting your ass sprayed instead of using shit paper all the time, and it's so much better. Not only does it feel good, yes, not only does it feel good, but it really helps to, the sewage system too. From all that toilet paper, it also helps take away the ability of your asshole getting ripped open from sandpaper. So yes, let me tell you, don't be a peasant, get a bidet. Just saying. Alright, so the last thing I want to throw out here, and this one is, I intentionally say this for last, because this is actually one thing that I actually did not know, and I just found this a few hours ago, and I was like, whoa, this is something I want to talk about. This is actually very cool, and I don't know how I'd never known this, because I've studied a lot about the history, but somehow I've either overlooked it or just never paid attention, who knows. But did you know the first geishas were actually men and not women? And they were referred to as taikomochi, and were a sort of like jesters. But 25 years later, women outnumbered them to become the main geishas. And their role were way different than what the men were. I thought that was actually very unique, and I thought that would be something I'd save here for this discussion, because just think of it. All of our knowledge, or at least, the majority of people's knowledge, when they hear about a geisha, it isn't a man. It's usually a woman. And, it's totally opposite of what a jester is. We never thought of a geisha as a jester. So, and, I thought it was actually pretty unique. Like I said, I still don't know how I never come across this out of all my years of studies. But, yeah, I thought it was unique, and I thought you guys would like to be interested in that kind of new, interesting knowledge. But with that being said, guys, I do want to apologize for last week again, that I did not put up a new episode. Usually I put an episode up every week. I feel actually way better this week. I feel more relaxed, even though I've been studying this week and working and everything. But thank you for being so patient. Thank you for being part of the audience here. Thank you for being part of the community on Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere else, especially TikTok as well. Thank you guys for everything that you've been doing, listening to my episodes, and being part of this podcast. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. So with that being said, you guys have an awesome weekend, and I will see you here again next week.